It's time for your Low Country real estate market update. It's the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show. Brian is one of the top 1% real estate agents in Charleston. Find him online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or call him at 843-400-8009. Now, broadcasting from the WTMA studios, here's your host, Brian Beatty.
Good morning, Charleston, and welcome to another edition of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com. I'm your host, Brian Beatty, and thanks for joining us this morning. So we're going to cover a few topics today. We're going to do a year in review. We're going to talk about 2022. I'm going to get pretty specific with what happened to a bunch of different areas of Charleston. We've seen amazing appreciation. So I'm going to give you some stats for what happened year over year. We're going to go all the way back to 2018. You know, as an example, if you lived in Somerville from 2018 until now, I'm going to tell you how much your home is appreciated. And some of these numbers are going to be fantastic news for you. They're crazy. They're great. So we're going to talk about a few different sections of our market here locally. Again, what happened last year? Talk more about the outlook for this year. Things are changing. Things aren't quite as bad as I think some folks were led to believe. Obviously, we've got a lot of things going for us here in Charleston specifically, which is why it's always so dangerous to look at like national news and then try and tie that to our local market. We're a little different. We're built a little differently. So I want to talk about that. I want to talk about some things that the White House is proposing with regard to tenant protection in response to just the massive increase that we're seeing across the board with regard to rental rates and what they're attempting to do or what they're trying to do to manage that. And then last, I just want to end with a few things that I think you should be asking your real estate agent that kind of these are like the really good questions you would want to ask if you're interviewing an agent, things that you might not think to ask, but are absolutely applicable. So that's the plan over the course of the next hour. Now, if at any point in time, you hear something and you'd like more information, maybe you just want to have a conversation with me off air. I do sell real estate Monday to Sunday. Our team has been in the top 1% of agents here locally since 2009. We've sold about 1,300 homes, about $1 billion worth of real estate locally. So would love the opportunity to either just help you through a situation, provide you with a recommendation, or, of course, earn your business. Our number is 843-800-0065. In fact, that's my personal number. That will come straight to me. So you can call or text that. I'll be the one that answers. 843-800-0065. Now, if you want to do a little research on us, you'd like to look at some of the resources we have available on our website, search the MLS, find out how much your home is worth, or find out how many buyers we have for your home right now, then you can go to listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Or lastly, you can just send me an email, brian@brianbeattyteam.com. So let's start first with what happened last year. And I've got a whole big old stack of papers with me. So excuse me as I'm kind of flipping through this stuff because, look, I like stats. I'm a numbers guy. There's no way I can can't remember all these specific numbers. But the Charleston Association of Realtors does a good job really on a monthly basis of helping us understand kind of the direction of the market, what's happened. And then, as a real estate agent that has been following the numbers, following trends within the market and advising accordingly for a long time, I've just been a numbers junkie, and it's served my clients really well because, of course, we use that information to our advantage to help time the market, which is always something that everybody wants to do, but very few get it right. And of course, there are things that are just outside of our control. But information is power, in my opinion. And the better we understand the direction of the market, the better we can plan our next move, our next purchase, our next sale, our next investment, so on and so forth. So if we look just at a few of the different categories that I'm going to cover for 2022, those would be things like sales, listings, showings, new construction, prices, and then, of course, distressed property, which we can just start with that. It was basically non-existent. 0.6% of all transactions were in distress, meaning they were foreclosure or short sale sales. Now, I can remember back in, I want to say it was 2012, it may have been 2011, but about 30% of our market was in distress. And frankly, that's how I kind of made a name for myself, so to speak. I mean, in 2008, I had been licensed for 2 years, and 2006, 2007, 2008, the market crashes. By 2009, I'm 24 years old, if so, dating myself here, but I'd risen to the top 1% of agents in the market because I specialized in short sales foreclosures, helping investors acquire them, helping sellers out of bad situations, working with banks to sell their distressed inventory, so on and so forth. And so it's just not a component of what we do now. But I'll tell you, the skills that were developed and the hustle that was developed to sell that type of real estate and to truly help people is a skill set that I have carried with me over the course of my 17-year career. And so now that you see a market like the one we're in now, where things are shifting, they're returning to normalcy, there's a bit of a lack of motivation and demand, and still very few things for sale. It's not easy for real estate agents out there. Everybody's fighting tooth and nail for clients and for deals. And so that's why kind of at the very end of this program, I want to give you some questions that you should be asking agents to, I guess, prevent yourself from getting into a situation where you've aligned yourself with an agent that basically told you what you wanted to hear, right? And then you have very little recourse if they don't do what they say they're going to do. So we'll talk about that toward the end of the program, but let's just start first with sales. And this is all for the end of the year 2022, of course, compared to last year, 2021. Pending sales were down 20%. We finished with a little over 19,000 properties going under contract. Closings were down 18%. We sold just a hair under 20,000 properties last year. Listings, if we compare 2022 to the prior year, the number of homes available for sale was actually up by 63%. There were 2,859 active listings at the end of 2022. Now, I'm going to get to that stat again here in just a minute, but we are below that number still. In fact, I'll just talk about it now. If you exclude new construction homes or proposed construction homes, and you just look at what can I buy and live in right now, you've got a little over 1,600 options. That is not a lot of inventory. And that's one of the reasons why, in fact, the main reason why prices are still stable in our market. In other areas of the country, specifically in the Pacific Northwest, Southwest. California is just, they're the market that we like to pick on. I mean, their prices are down and they're projecting to go down by double digits this year. Different story for us, which is why it's so important that you focus on local statistics, local trends, and you work with somebody that understands them so that they can advise you accordingly. But listings, they ticked up nicely. And at the end of 2022, we had almost 2,900 homes available to choose from. Now we've got a little over 1,600 if you eliminate new construction. Showings compared to 2021 were down 12%. There were 10 showings before the properties went under contract. But interestingly, February was the peak month for showings for our market last year. And we were getting about 11 showings on average per property per month. Now, if you look at the stats, they're at about 4.5 showings per month. It's obvious that there has been a big reduction in demand. And inventory, although it creeped up last year, which creates more showings, it's stayed relatively consistent. But we're harboring at around 4 or 5 showings per listing per month on average. Now, again, when I look at a home that's priced, let's say I'm looking at something that's under $350,000 in West Ashley versus a $1.5 million listing in Mount Pleasant. The one that's under $350,000 is going to get way more showings than the one that's for $1.5 million, just because of the nature of the number of buyers that are available for that property and in that price range. But we use this information to determine, how close are we to the expectations we had when we put the property on the market? if we know that we should be getting a certain number of showings per month and we're way above that, but we haven't gotten any offers, we need to dig deeper. We need to figure out what's going on there. Maybe maybe we're just off, or maybe the agent isn't calling the other agent that showed the property to try and get them to make an offer. Maybe there's just not a lot of salesmanship happening. Or maybe you're just not getting the number of showings you should be getting. Maybe you haven't had any showings at all in the first 30 days. I mean, there are corrective measures that can be taken. And that's going to be another question that you're going to want to ask your agent, which I'm going to give you here at the end of the show, which is, what is your game plan to continuously market the property to find buyers for it? Most agents have a very simple, quite frankly, set it and forget it approach to marketing real estate. There aren't many ongoing things that they do or outside of the box things that they do to continuously generate interest. They basically just put the advertisement out there and say, all right, well, I guess if we don't get an offer in 30 days, we'll reduce the price. Right? So we'll talk more about that. Prices are where everybody likes to, that's where the most fun is in all this data. And so let me just get to that really quickly, and I'll tell you where we are with things. If we look at the median sales price for just Charleston in general, from 2021 to 2022, the median sales price was up 14%. We ended the year at $398,615. Back in 2018, it was $266,500. So from 2018, we're up 50%. Charleston County is up 50% from 2018, 17% from 2021. Berkeley County is up 58% from 2018 and 14% from 2021. And Dorchester County is up 54% from 2018 and 18% from 2021. And then I'm just going to run down this list really quickly. So if you're listening, just watch out for your area. Daniel Island was up 21.6%. The Dorchester Road Corridor, off Ashley Phosphate, they were up 17%. Downtown Charleston up 12%. Edisto 14%. Folly Beach 32%. Goose Creek Moncks Corner 16%. North Charleston 16%. Somerville 18%. Hanahan 17%. Hollywood, Ravenel, Meggett, 8.5%. Big opportunity in that area, by the way. Isle of Palms, 19%. James Island, 23%. Johns Island, 33%. Kiowa, 53%, which is a misleading statistic because they do a lot of their stuff that is not entered into the Charleston Trident Association of Realtors MLS. So actually pay no attention to that stat because it's not really correct. We're missing a lot of data there. Lower Mount Pleasant up 25%. Their median sales price was $738,000 last year, up from $470,000 in 2018. It's a lot of moolah for folks that have lived in Mount Pleasant for the past few years. Let's see. St. George, rural Dorchester County, they were up 23%. Rural Berkeley County up 41%. Sullivan's Island up 27%. Get this. Median sales price on Sullivan's Island last year, $3.75 million. 5 years ago, it was 1.9. Yeehaw. They are up 94% since 2018. The Upper Charleston Peninsula, right? So downtown above the crosstown, that's up 6.5%. Upper Mount Pleasant up 22%. Wando Cainhoy up 14%. And West Ashley up 18%. In other words, a lot of appreciation has happened in our market. And now people are sitting fairly pretty with a really nice cushion. And there are still plenty of folks that wanted to buy last year. Maybe they made an offer and it just didn't get accepted because, the first quarter of the year was a continuation of 2021 where, it was, you had to give away your firstborn child in order to buy a house, and you had to buy it and waive your home inspection and, your appraisal and this, that, and the other. It was just very, very challenging to buy a house. But we're starting to see a nice little resurgence of activity. In fact, January is busier than I thought it was going to be. So now that I've read some of these stats, we're going to take a quick break. I'm going to talk a little bit more about what I think is happening right now, what's going to happen in our market over the next few months throughout the year, so that you can plan accordingly. I'm sure there are plenty of folks listening that have an interest in in moving, maybe not a need, but an interest. And in those situations, having the right information to rely on is paramount. So if that's something that I can do for you, if you're thinking about making a move, we've got multiple incentives that we can offer, a variety of different commission structured plans that we think work really well for folks based on what they want from us. So if you'd like more information on that, my number is 843-800-0065. That's 843-800-0065. Or check us out online at listingsincharleston.com. That's listingsincharleston.com. Stick around for more of the Brian Beatty Real Estate Show right here on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA and WTMA.com.
Visit Brian Beatty's website at listingsincharleston.com. The Brian Beatty Real Estate Show continues next on the Big Talker 1250 WTMA.